Okay, welcome back, guys, to the Madcore Hunter podcast. So I've got Zach and Danny. They're up in North Dakota right now. Got those two together. Wanted to get them on here and discuss their hunts. They've been very successful. They're leading the board. They're one up on me. So wanted to get those guys on here and let them tell their stories, what the deer are doing right now. This is still kind of, I would consider early season, but we had a cold front, at least here in the Midwest. That was nice last week. So I'll turn it over to you guys. Zach, we haven't had you on here in a while. What's been going on, man?
Just hunting, trying to finally get some with a bow. Elk season was pretty tough, so I was glad to get this whitetail. Yeah, like you said, it's been hot up here, but actually for our weekend, it started out hot. Saturday was pretty hot, but a cold front came through that night. Yeah, we saw lots of deer moving. Danny can talk more about that. My first set in the evening, I had 18 deer, um, mostly does, but there was a group of 5 bucks still running together. There was one shooter in it, but I didn't have my bow at the ready, and then I saw him in the woods, and he caught my movement for going for my bow, and he was old
So,
enough that he didn't stick around. He didn't run off, but he just stayed in the wood line on the hillside and kept moving up the hill. And then I saw a good shooter shortly after him. Had my bow out that time, but I wasn't drawn on him because I knew where he was walking out was gonna be like 60, 60, probably 65. I just got fixed pin on my whitetail bow. Um, and of course I was shaking pretty good. So I was like, I'm not sure if I want to take that shot being all shaky. Had I been drawn, I probably would have let it fly on him, but I wasn't drawn because he looked like he was walking to hit a trail, um, where I had a 40-yard opening. And so I was waiting for that. But as soon as he hit the trail, he turned away from me. So I didn't get a shot at him.
so let's back up here. So public land, North Dakota, correct? And you guys established up there because you guys are doing some work up there and this and that. And
Yeah.
I guess the big thing right now is the mobile setups and this and that. So what are you guys? I know Danny, we talked a little bit. You're running the saddle. Zach, are you following suit? Are you running the old climber? Are you, ladder stands? What are you doing
Yeah,
here?
also saddle, especially, I mean, Danny's talked about this spot before. This, I mean, you can do a hang on there, but saddle is definitely a way to go there. Just quick and easy, and the kind of trees you're gonna have to set up in. So that's what I run. I've been running that for 3 years now.
Which one do you
Yeah.
have out of
I
curiosity?
also I have well, they call it's Tethered's lockdown. It was the first year they had that new
Okay.
integrated
Yeah.
saddle, but they had to change the name because there was already lockdown tree stands. So mine's still
Yeah.
called the lockdown. Now they call it the ultra lock. So I have
Exactly.
that. And then I let a buddy borrow my Predator XL platform, so I was running their the XL curve that they came up with last year, which I'm not a big fan of it because that it's technically the same size, but that curve takes away from your footprint, so it feels like a regular small stand. And I mean, I don't have the ankle problems, haven't got tired. I know that's why they make those, but I noticed that this year in it, since somebody's borrowing my other regular XL, that it feels a little too small for me trying to turn around, especially which is the case with the deer I got. I had to flip around.
Yeah. I had the XL as well, and it was nice having that footprint. But I did want if I with that 45 at the end because I did after being up there a while, I was feeling like the pressure on the bottom of my foot and this and that. So you guys
Hmm.
are running the saddles. Here's something else. How high up are you guys going, or how high up are you going, Zach? Because I've been doing a couple sits this year, just going in, and I've been running two sticks, and some aiders, and I've just been floating around, 12 feet, give or take. Is that
So no, I'm usually trying to get around 15 to 20, but my first set up there when I had all those deer, of course, it's at the top of a hill that's all meadow behind it. earlier in the season, I was in that same tree, so I was about 15 to 18 feet, but now the leaves are gone, and
Okay.
so to keep my concealment, I was only about 12 feet in that tree because that's what I had to do to not be skylined.
I know, I've been trying to dabble with that a little bit more, and it's been working. I had what I call witch doe, a long snout, huge doe right underneath me, last week. I mean, I coulda spit on her, and she could not find me, and I mean, she didn't smell me either. I had the wind. I hunted this spot, based on the wind, of course, and, made me feel right because I wasn't real high up, but I had good concealment and such, so just something for people to think about, they're 5 feet up, hey, you may be higher, but you're skylined, and they're gonna see every movement, so that's something I've been dabbling with, plus not going as high, it just takes less time, I'm just dipping in after work, cold front comes in, wanna try to get an evening sit in, throw the stuff in the truck and see if you can since the daylight savings time hasn't happened.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely saves some time. So this set, when I was at the spot I went where I got my buck, um, it was a hillside, and there wasn't. I mean, in that area, the undergrowth is still green and bushy, but yeah, all the rest of the trees were mostly bare. And the particular tree I found had a couple trees next to it that were branching out pretty close to it. And so for that one, especially on a hillside, I was utilized all my sticks that I had on me, so I was probably about 20 feet up on that one.
So, were you hunting oaks? Did you have a picture of this deer? What
No,
drew
no, in this spot, like you said, being mobile is the key because you'll see them in an area and you might not, you think, oh, I'm gonna be here the next day, and then there's nothing. That's what happened. I was up high and 18 deer, and so I went back there in the morning and it was nothing.
The other thing with this area is we can't set any permanent stand and leave it anyway. So you're technically supposed to go in, set in the morning, and bring it out at night. Not supposed to leave it overnight.
based on the
Yeah,
regulations?
yeah,
Yep. And like the other thing you're talking about, like being up top in this area is very difficult because it's a hillside. And the wind is so hard to get right in there. I mean, if you're on the very top, the wind's blowing whatever it tells you that it is on, your weather app or Onyx or whatever. But the moment you start to turn over that hill at all, it is all over the place. And it's never the way that you want it. And the deer, coming from down below and coming up to you, it is so hard to stay where they can't see you because you're skylighted up at top, so that's part of, like, where he was talking about setting, with a couple sticks or 3 sticks high. Well, that's because of we're trying to avoid being silhouetted up there.
Well,
yeah,
and the more I'm hunting, it's just, which I feel like I've been educated, but the more I'm dabbling with just setting up at the proper height based on where you're at. And then also, I was listening to another podcast. Really, unless the wind is over like 7, 8 mile an hour, he doesn't even worry about the wind direction. He only focuses on thermals. And you guys both know where I'm at. It's a lot of ridges and we have great properties, but these properties are very difficult to hunt based on, hey, that last half hour is what's great, or last hour. Well, that's when the thermals start switching. So you almost have to, you're dabbling with thermals and wind direction, and it makes it very difficult. So just really trying to get strategic and I've gotten in some trees that, you can't get real high, but, for the wind and concealment, that's what's going to have to work the best. You got to hunt the spot over the tree. Like I can go find a great tree out in the middle of a woods, but you have to hunt the spot, I guess, in a sense.
yeah, yeah. In the spot that I set up where I got this buck the evening before, as the conventional wisdom, the thermals should have been pushing the down, after sunset. Well, I don't know what it is about that spot. Maybe it's got to be the water that's at the bottom, but when the thermals should have been pushing down, I was checking wind and it wasn't going up the hill or down the hill. It was just going straight up,
Yeah.
straight up into the sky.
Yeah, there's a water system in this area, and not only do you have thermals, but you're dealing with the way the wind comes off of that water, and it causes it's
Yeah, it
just
gets
swirly
wild.
winds all the time.
Fortunately,
Yeah.
there's just a pile of deer, so probably a good chance something's still going to come by you.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I mean, it can never be perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, right on. You guys know this area, so that's key. So I guess, was this an evening or morning kill?
Morning. Yeah.
Morning? Okay, so did you
So,
already have your setup in, or did you set up in the dark?
no, I set up. Um, but it's the same tree. So Jordan, our buddy, had been setting up lower, and he had seen several deer in that spot. So this was the last couple sets. So, and it was close to the road, and I was pretty tired anyway from helping Danny drag. So I was like, set up there. I mean, it took 8 minutes to get to my tree. It's real close to the road, just all downhill. Um, and I honestly didn't even want to go. I was wiped from Danny's deer, and I thought hard about sleeping in and then just going in to get my stand or to, help Jordan out if he needed help because he was going in. But I went in. I'm glad I did. I heard there's a bedding area up in the valley, across the valley from where I was setting. And I did hear deer get up right before first light and start moving down the hill. And then I didn't hear anything else. Because of the way these trees lean too, I really wasn't set up. I mean, it ended up being a good setup the way I was sitting, fairly good, but the way I wanted the setup would have been a lot better. I could have stayed hanging and had my strong shot on him, but the tree was just too crooked. So I was setting up where I would have I'd weak side is where he ended up coming on me. So
Yeah.
I just about 8 o'clock, I heard something above me, which I thought, oh man, that's, when wind was blowing up. Fortunately, it was blowing up and then kind of up, but also drifting toward the lake. And so he must have come over the hill out of my wind. And I saw it was a buck, didn't really see the size. And so I grabbed my bow and got ready. And since he was turned, I'm in my saddle this way. So I had to turn to stand on the platform with my back to the tree. And I actually did, because of just the time and how close he was already when I saw him, I didn't bother, loosening up the way I usually do, loosen your tether and then cinch it up over your shoulder. I just tucked it under my arm at the length I was. Fortunately, I was already hanging with enough length to do that, and then just held up waiting for him. Um, he he just meandered along coming down the hill, and at one point, he started trotting down the hill, so I drew back on him, but he stopped about 10 feet shy of my opening, and I held back as long as I could on top of shaking my leg. I had my legs locked, so it was just flapping. I finally, unlocked my leg and it stopped shaking. Um, you could see it. I just got a fourth arrow bow mount for my camera or for my phone to put it
Huh?
just above my stabilizer. So you could see the arrow just flopping in the camera.
Were you like, buck fever, or
I
just,
think a little bit,
your
yeah.
position? Your
Yeah, a
position, because
little
you
bit
can
of
get in a
both,
bind in
I
those
mean, a little
saddles.
bit of nerves, but also because, being the way I was turned with that tether under here instead of up here cinched on me, it's definitely was, your more body's just tensed up thinking about, you know, feeling secure in that like that way. It's not definitely not a secure way to stand
No, I'm gonna tell
with
it
that
now,
under.
when
So
you watch.
I'm all tensed up about that. But yeah, then locking the leg, so it just started because like I said, once I unlocked my knees, you know, I wasn't shaking anymore.
So Zach's been messing around with his filming with his iPhone here, the past week or so, and he showed me the video from earlier where a buck had come in, and I kind of made the comment. I was like, "It seemed like your arrow's shaking a little bit," and he's like, "Oh, I was cold." And the next morning when that buck's in front of me, I was like, "That arrow's just a dancing." I was like, "There's a little bit of
Yeah.
buck fever
It
going
did
on
get cold
there."
because that spot I was on top, I mean, the sun set and it was hot, so I was in thin clothes and the wind picked up. It chilled off quick, so I was
It's a
cold too on
convenient
that one.
time to get cold.
Definitely some shaking.
Hey, I I give him a hard time, but if you don't have a little bit of that happening, then there's not really much reason.
That's
Yeah.
why I do it. I mean, heck, even sometimes a doe will get me because I'll try to see how close, they can get in, and, like, even that one that was right underneath my stand, you're like, you just like kind of freeze and like you can't even. I don't even look at them, because they have. I swear they have a sixth sense. They can, we're predators. Tell if we're looking, but it's funny you say the saddle. Like you can get in a bind in those things. Like if you watch the commercial tethered, whatever, like 360
Yeah.
shooting, and put it over your shoulder. Like, well, that makes noise and this and that. Like the buck I shot in Kentucky last year, it was only like 20-yard shot. It was a tough shot because it was right behind me. And I
Yeah.
went like opposite side. And I'm like hanging off the tree, no footing. And if anybody gets a saddle, you need to shoot out of it a couple different directions. Like I really didn't, but I got away with it. But shoot out of it in your backyard or wherever. Take a block, target out in the woods and practice some different angles because they are
Yeah.
difficult. They're different, and you can make a lot of noise and move a lot if you don't know which way to turn based on which way they're coming.
Yep, for sure.
But sorry, go
That's okay.
ahead. So he's
Yeah.
trotting
So I
down
was
the
going
hill.
back on him, and he was stopped, and there was a small little opening where he was, and I was like, should I squeeze one through there on him? I was like, because I was getting tired of holding back because he stood there a while, and fortunately, about that time, a truck starts barreling up the road above me, making a lot of noise, and the buck turns his head, and so I could let down easy, and he didn't see anything or hear me. Um, so then he finally walks out in my opening, and I had a small opening that he busted through too fast, and then there was a bush, and that's when I got the draw on him. And then I stopped him in my second opening. It was probably about 20, 21 yards or so. I mean, he gave me plenty of time. Let it fly on him. At first, I thought it was a high shot but I was realized it was seeing my lighted knock angled up on him, and so
Pass through, or was it sticking out of him as he ran away?
it was sticking out.
Okay.
It did pass through. Ultimately, it pushed the rest of the way through. It hit the offside rib and did end up going through, but it wasn't initial pass through.
Okay.
But so I text Danny and Jordan, told them I stuck one. And then I pull the phone off my bow to watch the footage so I could see the shot. And I don't know what happened. If it was, my guess is it was like the violence of the shot. I hadn't shot it on the ground to test it, on a target. I don't know if it was the violence of the shot or what, but the camera stopped rolling right before I shot. Like
You
you
may
can
have
hear me stop him, and then it just stopped.
Yeah,
you may have ran out of storage. Your
No,
iPhone
it's
only
a
had,
brand new phone with there's nothing
really?
on it.
yeah, he hasn't tried too much with it. I mean, he had a video he showed me the other night of this other buck that was at like 60. I was really looking at it, trying to figure out how big the deer was.
And it was probably I filmed more.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I don't think so.
But
But
the camera, when he sent me the film, like it's like the deer's coming out. It would have been perfect on video with the iPhone, and you hear, man, the deer stops and kind of looks around, and then the camera dies. So it's like, man, that
Gosh,
sucks.
yeah.
that's a
So
bummer, man.
anyway, what I discovered, I didn't. It wasn't high. It was the perfect height, in that lower quarter of the body, but it was about 4 to 6 inches, a little too far back. So I got the rib on that side and cut the broadside, the right side lung, and then straight through the liver.
Liver's good.
Yeah, yeah. So it did the trick, but I don't know the yardage. I didn't ever mark it off. Didn't run a track to see how far he went. He curved up that valley and then circled back around it. Started going uphill. Decided he didn't like that. Came back downhill a little bit. Then tried to side hill, and he almost fooled us. He doubled back on us because we lost blood. And I was like, there's a lot of blood here, more than there is. So I was like, I think he doubled back. We ended up, he did. We found the trail again and trailed him for probably another 50 yards after that. I'd say he probably ran 200 yards maybe total in the full circle, maybe not that much, but ended up where he was dead was 70 yards directly across the valley from my tree. Like
So he kind of did a
he just did a
circle.
loop in that valley and then died.
Did Jordan and Danny come help you track?
Danny was already gone, so it was me and Jordan tracked.
Okay. Right on.
Yeah, we're working, so we're sneaking out in the evening and the morning, and um, I'll get into my story here in a little bit, but had to get back to work, and I had a pretty busy day Sunday. So, but I was on the phone with him and being updated, and he was a little
Yeah, got a little nervous a few
nervous
times.
about the blood trail, and we kept talking about it. And Jordan really helped stay on the blood, I think, and the trail sounded like from these guys, and they got on it.
Yeah.
It didn't take too long.
No, I mean, because I gave him some time. Like, I got down, took my stand down, packed up, and then I followed his blood for about 40 yards and then stopped and sat there and waited for Jordan, and then I decided to go drop my saddle hunting pack and pick up a frame pack in case we need to cut him up depending on how far he went. So I stuck an arrow there and pinned it and walked up the truck. So we probably all in all, it was about 2 hours, 2.5 hours
It's
after the
about
shot
right.
So
when we got to him. I don't know how long he'd been dead. I think he made that distance pretty quick because while I stopped hearing him running, and then while I was, you know, unloading off the tree, I swore I'd heard, just some of that last gasp sounding of a
Yeah.
deer dying pretty much right across where he was laying. And that was
I mean,
so,
they can make it that fast. I mean, generally what I do is, I'll tiptoe down there and try to get my arrow. And based on how I feel about the shot and what's on that arrow, is how long I'll wait. But, general rule of thumb, it's going to be at least probably an hour unless I see it go down, which a lot of times that can be the case, especially if you heart shoot them like Danny.
yeah.
we didn't, when he hit me up, from everything he was telling me and watching the video, it looked like it was pretty well broadside, and Zach is notorious for shooting a little high from a tree stand. So
Yeah.
he had told me he hit high, and I looked at a couple pictures of blood and stuff, and we were both on the same basis that he had hit
High
lung,
lung.
but
I
it
was
was
thinking
high.
high lung. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Well,
Oh,
from a
yeah.
tree
Cause that's
stand,
like
that's not too bad because the angle,
yeah. Like, I mean, most of the other deer I've killed up here have been almost right under my tree stand, and I've spine shot every one of them. So I was like, I'm not used to tracking deer. I was used to seeing them laying at the bottom of my tree.
There is that too. Gosh.
Yeah. Um, yeah, but it did the trick. He'd been dead there for a while. I mean, he was all stiffened up for
Rigor
sure.
okay. Well,
Yeah.
congratulations, man. It's a good story.
Yeah.
Real
No,
quick,
we got it here.
what was the equipment real quick?
So shooting a Matthews Phase 4.
That's why
Um,
you had to track it, but go ahead.
yeah. Yeah. um,
Usually you drop them with a Hoyt.
yeah. Well, I wanted so my old white, my previous bow that I used up here was my old elk bow. And long story short, it really wasn't so hard draw as part of just not shooting enough, and it was too short. So I couldn't hold it back long. So I was like, I'm gonna find me a used bow and do a 60-pound bow for my whitetail. So I found this on a good, year old, and it was a demo bow, so I got a lot of money off of it. And so I set it up 60 pounds, 31-inch draw, shooting Axis 5 millimeters.
Good.
I can't remember what my arrow weight is total, but
That don't matter.
125 megameets.
I was gonna say, what broadhead was it?
Yeah,
Mega
megameets.
mates.
Yeah. Yeah, it did the trick.
Hey, Danny, you got to get endorsed, man. But much you brag the mega meets up,
Yeah, yeah,
get us endorsed. I'll start
yeah,
shooting them.
Need to be.
yeah. No,
Yeah,
I keep the important animals, the elk, that's my Hoyt.
that's right. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Talking about those shakes, um, I don't get worked up on elk. I don't know if I ever have, even from the beginning. I don't know why. Like I can hear my heart thumping, but there's no shaking at all. But you're talking the most I've ever been shaking and heart thumping was on a whitetail doe
you know,
that came out to me up here.
Aaron Steiner says the same thing. Man, maybe because he's killed some elk, but it's something about whitetail. I don't know if it's because you have to be so still and you're like ambushing them.
Yeah,
Like
I
elk,
think
you're kind of running and gunning, calling them in. But man, yeah, I mean, I'm the same way. On a big buck, I'm hammering.
I think it's a lot of being elevated in a tree stand where you're confined.
Yeah,
because I don't react I've the issues that I've had with whitetail would have been more in a tree stand than even on the ground. Like on the ground, I feel I
That's
I
probably
don't get
part
in
of
a
it.
bind, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Yep, that's
Well,
pretty part of it. But here
awesome.
we got the rack here.
Yeah, let's see it. Oh yeah. He's so
We're
symmetrical,
gonna let
man.
Danny do that. He's gonna keep it up here and
North Dakota, man, that is nice.
yeah, they put some good deer, especially public land.
Absolutely. Congratulations, man.
Yeah,
Thank you
thanks.
for
Yeah,
sharing the story and jumping on here.
I gotta go prepare some fresh heart and loin for dinner.
All right, great. Thank you, man.
Yep. See you guys.
Thanks, Zach.
Yep.
Give me just a second here. You can talk for a little bit.
Okay. That was a good deer. Good mass, public land, North Dakota. Danny also was public land, North Dakota. So got two within the say I think back to back days, the way they were talking. I've been pretty close this year. I've had some good hunts. I've got 3 shooters that are showing up pretty consistently, and our food plots are looking really good. Shout out to Dad. And I think I think in the past, we've done a lot of beans and such, and it's going to be switched. I would always start out with really good deer, but once they turn brown, they kind of, they go to acorns and this and that. And then this year, I'm getting more big deer show up. Like I don't know if I sent you. Did I send you that heavy 8, Danny?
You keep asking me if you sent me pictures. You're keeping me out of the loop for some reason. I don't know what's up.
Well, you'll find a way to come back and shoot them, probably.
I know. That's why I was wondering.
Yeah, but it's a neat, usually our deer go straight to 10. Usually we don't get a big heavy 8, so I would shoot that deer. I'd say he's 140-inch 8-point. I mean, he could be bigger, but it's just he's a big, just massive 8. Probably his bases are Coke cans, and
Yeah,
he's old too.
yeah. This spot's pretty special. I mean, there's some giants in there, but the wind is so difficult to get it done. Like we see a ton of deer. There's a lot of deer, but it is a very difficult place to hunt. It's not difficult to see deer. It's difficult. Like one of the biggest things I've started doing is I move almost constantly. Like if I hunt somewhere, it's twice. Give it a morning and an evening, but like I'll move, a mile or two. Like it's a big section of public, and it runs for a whole bunch of miles and stuff. It's not a wide area by any means. It's just there's several sections of public.
And I wanted to talk about that a little bit because even back here in the Midwest with private, I'm just going to put things in perspective. Like I've picked up 3 or 4 since season has started, or right before since summer. I wasn't even really trying too hard. I picked up 4 different spots. Now they range from 40, 50 acres all the way down to 15. But this allows you to, if you're still wanting to go hunt and the wind's bad for your good spot, or you're like, hey, this isn't the primo night. Like I don't want to throw all my chips in, with the dude. But you can go to one of these other spots. You never know what might show up. And if you want to run cameras, which some of these I can't run cameras every spot, but the more spots the better. Like I was talking to a friend, he's like, yeah, such and such is hunting this year, and it's just this and that. I'm like, dude, you gotta get more spots, And I was talking to a guy at work, like, go door knocking, do some favors, this and that. You don't want to use people, but people are friendly, and you can get permission, and that opens a lot up, because if you have a good spot, the deer will learn you and you'll burn it out, I guess, but I have a hard time staying out of the woods. Like there's a switch that flips in me, and I change, and I got to go hunting if it's cool enough.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely got to have multiple spots, even if that one may not be that good. If the wind's right, you get in there. I'm kind of laughing because I thought about this all weekend. Is just like you and your dad, you've done really well with getting permission at places. And I used to be that way when I lived back east, but man, it's different out here. they're bigger land owners for
Yeah.
one thing. You got ranchers and farmers. And the reason I'm bringing this up is I had a really bad encounter. It wasn't face to face, but had somebody get really nasty with me, leave a note on my truck, and I know why he did, but it was not right at all. And
I've had that.
my point is, if you want to leave a note on my truck where you're going to cuss me out, leave your name and number so we can have a real conversation about what you got to say. Because if you ain't man enough to face me, then don't leave a note. Because I get mad too. I get pissed off at a lot of people, but I don't leave a note on their truck just to call them names, you know. But
Oh, I
like,
was in high school and I came out and there was a note and the guy couldn't even spell. He's like, have permission to hunt here or something like that. And the guy
what's
lived back the lane. I went and talked to him, was real nice. But I had another guy, he pulled up, screeched his tires and said, get out of here, this and that. And he never even had permission himself. I knocked on a door in Kentucky and I knew better. It was a sketchy spot. And I swear the guy was cooking meth or something. And he wouldn't open the door all the way and he
yeah.
wouldn't show his other hand. And if I was a betting man, he probably had a pistol on the other hand. And that Lee Ellis, he'll tell a story too. I think somebody drew a gun on him.
Oh,
You
I'm
know, there's always risk. Yeah. I mean, you need to make sure it's not a sketchy situation. It's
yeah,
not worth it. But
like this guy's cussing me out for where I parked. I parked on public land and I parked in a ditch, on public land off the road. And like, I'm pretty sure what happened was they drove a combine down this road. Okay. And, there was a vehicle on the other side of the road of another person that was with us. And I never thought anything of it. It ain't like there's corn and soybeans everywhere here. These are wheat fields or sunflowers, and it's all been cut. But I mean, it's a public road, and we're both in a ditch, and it said something about blocking the road. The road's 45 foot wide, you know? So, I mean, I get why he probably had to get a little close with the combine, but still, like, I don't know. Somebody left a note in the same area because dad had dropped me off last year and had went in and hunted this spot, and somebody left a note. I swear the handwriting's the same. I think it's the same pissed off dude from last year that noticed my truck because the other truck across the road didn't have no note. It's like, but I mean, he was being cussing me out and calling me an idiot, and I'm like, what's the deal here? What are you solving? Did it really make you feel better to say that,
well, you need to
But
get some better
yeah,
people
so
skills.
that was how my weekend went. I just was mad I didn't even want to hunt. It was hot.
That happened this weekend?
Yes,
Oh, I didn't
over.
know that happened this recently.
Oh yeah, we've been making fun of it because he's like, this is farm country, and I'm thinking like, this ain't farm country. Come back to where I grew up. Like,
Yeah.
it probably wasn't even a rancher or farmer. It was probably some stupid kid working for him. You know what I mean? Younger guy,
Yeah,
but
he
I
don't
don't
know no
know.
better.
It was frustrating. It really ruined it because I was like, man, I'm one of the nicest guys there is until I'm not. You know what I mean? Like, you have to really work to make me mad. But that one got me frustrated. I didn't want to hunt because of it.
Wow.
And yeah, like it was just, well, the other thing is I'm looking at deer cast and it's like 3% movement or something for the time
I
that we're
wouldn't listen
hunting.
to that because the day that I killed my big one last year, I think dad had texted me that morning or he told me later. He's like, yeah, Deercast said it was like a poor day. I'm like, well, it wasn't for me. So,
Well,
I
it's
just,
areas, man. The more you're out there and hunt, the more, but those things are predictive, and like it wasn't just deer casts, it's like Onyx is showing it too,
yeah.
predictive.
I mean, yeah,
Uh,
sometimes it is right. But did you kill same area as Zach?
a few miles apart, but same system. It's a I'm pretty familiar. I'd only hunted where I killed probably a couple times. When I hunted early season, I had found this spot and I saw a good deer and I passed the deer. And so basically we went over there and like the one night I think Zach saw a bunch of deer in the spot, but it's another one. It's hard to hunt there and not get blown out by some deer, you know. But Jordan had saw uh, some bucks, and he actually got shot. So I mean, we dang near could have shot 3 deer in the evening and a morning set. So like it was ended up being real good. But I didn't see nothing my first night out, and that was part of it because that all happened with the farmer or whatever, whoever left the note on me. And I think I bumped a big buck right after dark when I was walking back on this piece to the truck. I never got my binos on him, but I could see a real big bodied deer running off, and I think it was a good buck. I'd found some rubs right where this deer was at, and anyway, um,
What are they
that
on up there right now? Just like, are we hunting oaks? Are you hunting
man,
ag? Are you just hunting
they're
bedding, thickets,
dude, these
water,
deer, they're browsers here, man. There ain't no
or just
food. Like
okay?
I mean, there is no food like we would think of being from Indiana. Like there's not hardly any corn or beans. There is some crops in this area. There was wheat fields that were cut. It was the only thing, crop wise. There's some soybeans that are 10 miles away. I don't
Mhm.
think these deer were getting to that. There's some alfalfa and spots and stuff like that they'll go to, but most of this country I'm hunting here is they're just browsing.
Okay.
Sent that video. I saw a real big moose the one night too,
Mhm.
um, in the area. He wasn't where I was hunting, but he was within a few miles. Big bull out roaming a couple hours before dark. But anyway, the night that I went to this area where I killed, I'd hunted in there and I'd found some water. And I mean, there's water in the area, so it's odd to me that there's a water hole that the deer are interested in because there's water not that far from there. But I think I might have mentioned this before. Almost looks like an elk wallet. It's all muddy. There's deer tracks all over it, and there's just dirty water puddled in it. And Dad actually hunted in there once and didn't see much. And I had seen one 8-point 4x4, and he got kicker on one of his bases had come through. I filmed him one night because shot him. The Like I said, after that thing with the note, I didn't want to hunt. But basically, the only reason I was even there was in case Zach and Jordan got a shot that night. I was like, I'll stick around because I had a bunch of work I wanted to go do the next day and needed to get done. So I was like, I'm not hunting the next morning. I'm just going to get out of here. And honestly, like it'd been a short night the night before, a bunch of driving. This spot's a long ways away from the house and all this stuff. And I got tired, and it's like 4:30 and thinking about going in. And I was like, I set my alarm clock for 20 minutes, took a little nap. I wake up and I look at the temperature in my truck and it says 81. And I'm like, man, piss on this, like this is too hot. Like this is and the funniest thing is I told Zach and Jordan when we had lunch that day, I was like, yeah, it's October law, man. There's no reason to be over here hunting. So I go back to sleep and I wake up at like 5:45 and gets dark at like, I think last light was 7:38 or something. So I go walking into an area that's over a half mile away, um, at like 6 o'clock in the evening. The wind's crappy. In this spot, I have to basically go over there to kind of where you want to hunt and see what the wind's doing because it changes that much in a half mile. And I went over there and walked in, and the wind was just coming down. If I got in the woods, it'd be blowing back into other sections where I was thinking they're bedding. So I was like, I'm just not going to go in the woods. But I kept walking towards that water hole, and I get close to it, and I can see a cattail flat that runs I can see out there for hundreds of yards. And, the deer here, there's a lot of big sloughs and cattails, and just these deer go live out in this grass. And I had started seeing a lot of deer. Well, I saw a doe on the way in get up out of the cattails. Anyway, I end up sitting by 3 little trees, and there's just a few little bushes. I mean, we're talking 5 or 6 inch trees. and they were just kind of clumped together. And I was like, I'll just sit in front of this. And I took and scraped it out, sounding like you're a deer scraping, scraped out the leaves, a little bit of the grass so I could sit there kind of quiet. As soon as I sat down, I started seeing deer like crazy coming out of the cattails. Some of them working to me, and I'm like, this might work if they're going to come up this water, you know. And I hadn't been there for 15 or 20 minutes, and I catch movement, and I mean, it's like 40 yards away from me. And I was watching some does that were 100 yards that were going to walk to me, and out steps a buck. And the buck is heading that water, and I'm ranging. I'd already ranged some trees. He walks right where I wanted him to. He's 35 yards. And the funny thing is, I get my binos out and get it on him, and it's that 4x4 that has a kicker on his base that I had filmed walk under my stand in the same area. It's him again, and he walked right by, walked over the water, drank. I got a little footage of him on the camera. I had the camera with me, but I didn't like bring anything to set up. I went in with just my backpack, didn't even take sticks or anything in because I'm like, I'm not going to climb a tree. It's late, blah,
Yeah.
blah. Well, that about comes through, and I'm like, man, this is pretty good. But I thought, we'd had a little bit of a cold spell a week earlier and thought, mosquitoes, you get a cold spell and don't think mosquitoes are bad. Dude, I was getting tore up. I was getting so hammered that I had to put a sweatshirt on. It's 81 degrees. I've got my hood up. I've got my hands covered, and I'm just sitting there swatting, trying not to move quick. And I'm watching deer, hoping they don't see me. And I am just getting eaten alive. And it's not getting better. And I don't like having a hood up because I can't hear very well.
Yeah, I don't like him either.
So I've got 2 hoods on dealing with this, and I've searched my bag like 3 times. I'm like, how do I not have bug spray or something in here? And I don't have it. I took it out. Don't have a freaking thermostat with me or anything. And I don't know if those does had just went the other direction or if they saw me when I was trying to film the smaller buck. But when I looked up, they were trotting off the other way. I think they just went that direction, got out of the bugs that were down there, it was just kind of letting the night happen. I'd already seen 8 deer. I'd jumped a doe and 2 fawns so on the way in and seen another doe and seen that one buck. Anyway, like it's probably 7:00. And like I said, I had about a half hour left and the sun's kind of set. And I'm watching a hillside and there's woods, 2 woods on each side of the ridge. And the ridge is just grass with small shrub brush on it. It's fairly open. And I happened to catch moving on that ridge. And I mean, it was just rack coming over, it was as soon as I could see it. And what's odd is I hardly ever shoot a deer that I haven't looked at with my binos, like unless it just happens so fast. And when I looked at this buck, he tripped that trigger, man. Is
Yeah.
like I've shot some nice deer and all that stuff. And this guy fooled me a little bit, but I don't think I would have passed him no matter how it is. I mean, it's public land. Like you
And you're on the ground, dude. It's tough to
there's some
shoot
big
deer on the
ones. You
ground.
don't know what's going to happen. And it gets really cold here pretty shortly in this state. So it just gets tougher and tougher to hunt. And I have to do it. This is only archery. There's no gun season that we can get. It takes a ton of points to draw a gun tag in North Dakota for residents and non-residents. But anyway, when he come down, I never pulled up the binos and it was one of those bucks that like the moment I seen him, like I'm shooting this deer. And he was coming down the hill and I'm like, he is going to that dang water hole. And I'd already ranged it. That water hole's right at 40 yards and he's coming down and I wanted to pull. I almost messed up because I was wanting to film him with the video camera just a little bit before I shot. I seen he kept looking downhill and I finally was like, don't grab that dang camera, And I got the Tacticam on the bow, turned it on as he was coming downhill. I haven't even watched the footage, but it was rolling when I shot. But he come in there and he didn't go straight to the water. And I could see limbs moving and thought he was rubbing on a tree there. I mean, he was, but I could see him rubbing. But then I caught his glimpse of his horns and I thought he had turned. Like I thought he already somehow got a drink. And I thought maybe I was looking at the wrong spot to where I actually thought the water was. I thought he got a drink and started back up the ridge. and I'm struggling because I'm on my knees, setting up as high as I can. The grass is tall enough that I can't see much besides his head. And I'm thinking, man, I probably need to stand up, but the wind all died down right there at last light, and it's noisy. Like he's going to hear me when I stand up, because I know he heard me try to pick up a camera because he looked my way and stood there for a while. That was why I just finally stopped messing with it.
Yeah.
But anyway, he finally, I see him move towards the water again, just a foot or two, and then he starts rubbing. And I was like, okay, I'm going to stand up. I get my left leg to where I'm standing on my foot. I'm on my right knee. And dude, he starts to walk out. So it's like, I don't even know if I put that leg down or if I shot him with one leg up and high on my right knee or what it was, but I knew the yardage. So I didn't even have to dial because I got that 2-pin sider. So my dial is 40, the pin that I use to dial. And he stepped out, got drawn, never knew I was there, and settled the 40 on him, let her eat. I'm really bad about bringing my arm down so I can see. So that Tacticam, sometimes the footage don't last very long. You shoot, I pull it right down, and it was like he runs up the hill, and I was like, oh, he's gonna stop. And I pulled the bow back up, so hopefully he's on there. But dude, he only ran like 25 yards, and he stopped and looked around. I mean, I wasn't questioning the shot at all. I heard it pop, when you hit that chest cavity, and knew where my pin was. So I knew I'd hit him well, and he never moved an ounce when I shot. He didn't have a clue I was there, but he ran. I ranged it from where he died. It was the tree I could see that was close to the water was 31 yards, but I mean, he was rolled over on the ground within under 10 seconds. I don't even know. He ran up the hill, stopped, looked both ways, and he rolled right over backwards. So that's both my elk and my deer have fallen within sight. So that's been pretty awesome.
It's a good feeling. That new bow's paying off, man. It's a good feeling.
Oh yeah. It shot well. And what's crazy is, like I told you, I was just having a bad day. And in the middle of the day, we ate lunch, and I took a target with me, and we go set this target up. And I hate shooting like block targets just in general, and especially if I don't have a backdrop. And it's like, I know I shoot well, but I don't like shooting at that because I don't want to lose an arrow. And we set this on a closed road that had, just a 2-track grass closed road. And Zach shot from like 60, and I went back there with him and shot. And I'm like, yeah, it's, I hit within 2 inches or whatever I was aiming at. Zach had shot well. We moved back up to 33 yards. And I pull up and I shoot, and I kind of flinched a little bit, but I shot over target. And I was like, man.
You forgot to dial, didn't you?
Well, being stupid, man. I told myself, I was like, oh, I flinched, I can't believe I shot over that. And I saw the arrow bounce and thought I'd find it. I grab another arrow, put it on, draw back, and I'm aiming. And this time I don't flinch, and I shoot over it. And I went, oh my gosh, I didn't do that, did I? I had literally shot 2 arrows after not dialing it back to 30. Yeah. Like I've done it a couple of times, but I haven't done that very much. And the worst thing is I lost both those arrows. All 3 of us looked forever, and they had skipped. That thing shoots fast. They skipped off the little grass and blew into 3 or 4 foot grass. Never could find the things. And those guys laughing at me, and I'm just frustrated. I was like, that was what started. Like, I don't even want to hunt tonight, But I did make myself grab because I jokingly told Zach, I was like, here, let me shoot it again. I won't dial, and you guys can watch where this one goes to see if I can find the other 2.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
But I dialed, I moved to 20 yards and shot, and pinwheeled the dot, and I'm like, oh, I'm good. But I was glad I did that because, your next shot's a 40-yard shot on a nice buck, and was able to pinwheel him, so it felt good. I love the line from, I think it's American Sniper. Just, I'm better when they're breathing.
Yeah,
that's one of my favorite lines. But
it's a good story. Let's see him. Yeah, you got him there.
Zach and mine they're like twins, man. They're 3.5-year-old deer, I would say. They got real good mass.
What happened to your brow tine?
You don't have one. I was like the Joker. That's what I said. He fooled me a little bit. And
Yeah.
honestly, I don't know what it was. I think it's the time length that tripped that trigger, when he was coming in. All these are over 9. The G2s and the
Yeah. No, they both I think yours might have maybe a touch more height, but I think
Zach's is gonna his will make. I mean, that's what's sad is like these are nice 3.5-year-old deer, okay? Especially public land. Mine won't make Pope and Young, I don't think, because of, without having a brow tine, you lose your brow, which you got 4 inches probably on this side, and you lose a mass measurement. So you're talking 8, 9 inches gone off of that
yeah.
deer. But
Well, it's public land on the ground, man. They're good mature deer.
yeah,
That's awesome, and
like
we're
it,
getting ready
it's
to go hunt Illinois.
and it's funny. It's like I told Zach sends me a picture of his deer, and I'm like, yeah, congratulations. Zach's hasn't he's killed a decent amount of whitetail, but he hasn't killed a lot of big ones just because, he got into hunting later than what we did by far. He started
Yeah.
hunting with me he started hunting whitetail at 18. I mean, really, I think he shot one maybe before. No, he hunted a few times before that, but he honestly it was out of high school that he started hunting with me. And he killed a few, but like these guys, let's see if I can get around the mic here. I ain't gonna be able to hold it far enough. Like they are. Zach's is a little bit wider than mine,
Yeah.
but I mean, they could be brothers.
Yeah. They're good looking deer, man. You guys should be proud. Congratulations. Good
Yeah.
bow, public land. Yours is on the ground. That's an accomplishment.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. There's something about being able to kill a whitetail off the ground because
Exactly.
that's a hard animal to get close to on the ground.
I've only killed does on the
Didn't you kill
ground.
your first off the ground?
Okay,
Buck?
sorry. Yeah, you're right.
You're big. You're one of your.
That's one of my bigger ones. Yeah, I was 9. We were walking in the stand. It was during rut, and I think he thought me and Dad were a deer. So yeah, I did shoot that one off the ground. Of course, elk, but it is neat. Yeah, on the ground.
It is. Yeah. So it's in. It was kind of crazy. I mean, like I said, we're working, but we try to. A lot of times we'll do that where we try to get out to a certain spot, like late on a Saturday evening and hunt Sunday morning. That's way we can knock out our work on Saturday morning that we got to do and Sunday afternoon, So, but I had quite a bit to do. Just it's been busy up here at work. So that was why it sucked that I wasn't there for Zach when he shot. I just honestly was like, it was a fluke. I killed mine, and I was Zach. I'd called him. They were bringing stuff to me to come help me. I got it gutted, and just started dragging out because it was kind of flat where I was at, and I thought we got 3 of us. It won't take long. And Dad always hollered at me about like we should just cut them up in this area, but the grass was short where I was at, and I was like, I can drag it quick, and those guys can bring in a cart. And the cool thing was the cart actually worked well this time.
Yeah.
There's a few bad spots where having 3 people, we could pick the whole deer in the cart up to get over some nasty stuff to get to the flats. But it wasn't too bad, but I was a little wore out because I drug him, I don't know, quarter mile probably before I got to those guys. Once I got to those guys, it was fairly easy.
Yeah.
Zach's, they should have cut it up, but they drug it way up a hill in some taller grass, and they were both smoked from getting that deer out of there.
Oh gosh. Yeah, I remember texting you yesterday, and I could tell you were busy, so I'm glad we did it today. So yeah, this is all like within a week of happening when this podcast drops. I guess everybody listening.
This happened Saturday night and Sunday morning. So
yeah, this is dropping, Tuesday. So.
And like I said, it's kind of crazy. Jordan hasn't hunted whitetail in a very long time, and he decided to start shooting the bow again a little bit, and he got out, and I think he had a decent 8-pointer that he got an opportunity out, but he struggles a little bit as it starts to get dark, and it wasn't late. I mean, it was in that last half hour, but I just, from the sounds of it, just couldn't make out as well as he thought he could when he shot, and it sounded like he shot just behind the shoulder, just under the deer, but the deer,
Yeah.
he didn't even touch it, because he said the deer ran over there about 20 yards and was all, he never smelled him or anything, so we might be able to get back on that one. But overall it was a great weekend. I don't know that I ain't killed 2 deer like that, with me and somebody else together like that time frame
Yeah.
ever, maybe.
No,
So
it's nice to get one under your belt early. I did that one year here in Indiana, and it was I had an opportunity, not like real close, but with the cold front, and I've got some shooters early, but couldn't, got to play checkers with it and such. But
it's
it's
never
here, man.
easy.
It's exciting time. There's big deer showing up, and I think it's going to be a little bit warm the next week and a half, but after that, I think it's supposed to. I think they're calling for real, cool type temperatures end of October here. So
My deer particularly had a ton of fat on him. He was stocking up for rut and winter for sure.
yeah,
Big bodied deer up here in North Dakota. They got long bodies like the Indiana deer do, and but big heavy deer. You just want to see the body. It's like, they got a little bit of that Canada in them. Just
yeah,
the weight. I don't know if you asked me or somebody asked me what I thought it weighed, and I was like, man, I don't know. It's a couple 100-pound deer, but he wasn't over that. I don't think. He was a big, nice deer, but I would say they were 3.5. I thought mine might be 4, just because the buck that's over my shoulder there, the skinnier 8-point, came out of the same area last year, and I thought he was 3.5. And it may just be genetics. Their frame is a lot similar, but this buck's a lot heavier than the one I shot last year. And I thought
so
he
they've
was
got good
3.5
mass.
then, but
Yeah,
they both had pretty good bodies. I'm kind of excited because I go home here in a couple days, and I got antelope gun season going on right now, and just going to try to get that tag filled. I haven't seen anything too crazy, decent bucks, but nothing too big. And my son-in-law's been out in the area trying to get some does, and he's like, I've only seen one good buck. Kind of told me where he saw that at. So see what I can find and go see if I can figure out where I can find a mule deer in Wyoming.
yeah.
But it's
Well,
kind of
good luck,
weird.
man.
Kind of weird having the elk killed, because it's kind of opening up October hunting for me, and maybe I actually get to hunt mule deer for more than a day or two. So that's
Well,
exciting.
what
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, keep me updated, and if you kill, we'll have it on here. But that's pretty good. You got a bull elk, a good public land deer, North Dakota. Now you're gonna chase antelope, mule deer. Then you got Illinois probably November time frame, and then if you can slip to Indiana, so a lot of stuff to come. I've got 3 tags for whitetail, and then anything in between.
When do you plan to start hunting Illinois?
Probably second week in November for
Second
sure.
week. Are you
If I
going? How
if
many
I
days
get
are you
it,
going for? Are you just weekends, or you got a little trip planned?
it depends on the weather. If we hit a good spurt, I'll take vacation, hit it all at the same time. And I might slip over, a weekend, but like that's when I plan on taking vacations that second week. I might slip over there. Got to talk to Rob, and do things up. But I definitely told him, hey, me and Dad are planning on being that second weekend in November. That just seems to be a better weekend for us, at least here in Indiana. In the past couple years, that first week it just hasn't been that good for our spots. Illinois may be different, and then focus on Indiana. Now, if I kill early in Indiana, of course I'll start going over there. But as of right now, I've kind of got Indiana, Illinois, then Kentucky's on the back burner because the counties that I hunt got hit really hard with the HD, and I found it. One of my shooters, I didn't have very many, but found a good shooter dead, so that sucked.
Yeah, also kind of excited. I'm not gonna hunt this weekend, but I'm gonna make a trip. Might possibly get me a horse, maybe. So kind of excited to go look at a few animals and see if any of those are going to work for me so that I can be back into having somebody to help me pack out.
Back in the saddle again, baby.
Hey, did you go pick up what you said you might be going to pick up?
I didn't. Sorry. That's gonna have to
Okay.
wait till next one. I would have, but I went and checked out a property and it had some stands on it, and I actually had to move a stand. So I'm trying to get another one, but next podcast or something, because I do wanna show that off.
Right on, man.
But yeah, that's about all I got. And I've got some other newer listeners. Met a guy at work. He might be listening. Shout out to Roger. He's been a great guy, man. He's been asking some questions. That's why we're here trying to educate. And I've been helping him a little bit, told him to text me anytime. And, uh, you know, he's asking about the website and such and hats. Just everybody reminder, madcorehunter.com. If you want to pick up a hat, we're just, trying to spread it out, get a community, this and that. You want to talk about your vest?
I was just showing it to you on the screen there.
No, I saw it back there. So Danny, you won that Chief Upland Pheasants Forever vest, which is nice.
Yeah, they got a like free exchange thing there. I've emailed them. That one works, but I'm gonna get the next size up. Just a little, it'd probably work great on you, but touch small on me.
Well, you can just give it to me. You don't need
Yeah. I think I want it. I kind of like it. So
right on, man.
There was something I was gonna ask you and now I've lost it, but
There's a lot of
I know what it was. I wanted to shout out Michael Simpson, buddy of mine. It's his birthday today. So happy birthday, old man.
happy birthday.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, everybody send in. We did have a question and we should have probably started out with it. I got a question on Instagram. So from now on, when we get questions, we're going to start this time we had Zach and such. I got distracted. When we have a question, we'll start. So I'll table it for next podcast. And for anybody who DMs any questions, I want to start the podcast out just asking you, and we'll go over that just because everybody else and probably even us has the same question. So appreciate everybody. Danny, appreciate you. Congratulations again, and we'll see everybody next week.
Thanks, Eli, and everybody. Stay calm, pick a spot, shoot straight.
That's right.